At Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, she is more than a doctor. She is hope in a white coat. Dr. Emmanuella Amoako, whose passion is helping children battling cancer, surviving against the odds. Every diagnosis carries fear. Every treatment carries uncertainty. But through her dedication, children and families find strength where despair once lived. Where others see statistics, she sees sons and daughters. Where others see a difficult case, she sees a life worth fighting for.
I'm Emmanuella Amoako, and I'm a pediatric oncologist, and I lead the pediatric oncologist team at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. I started my work as a young doctor. I first came to Cape Coast and I worked here as an intern, and it was quite interesting. Subsequently went to school, but decided to come back, and it was always because of service and impact. Now Cape Coast seems so close to Accra where people can travel, but the people who come to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital are from Western North. And so when I was done with my training in pediatric oncology, I decided to come back to have that impact back here in the central region, but also serving the Western and Western North regions, because I noticed that most of my patients were from Assin, Accra. They have to make a 9-hour journey to Accra if we didn't provide a service here. I've been a doctor for a total of 14 years, a pediatrician for a total of I think 9, and then a pediatric oncologist for 2 years. I always say pediatrics sort of called me. I remember as a young doctor I always wanted to be a surgeon, and one day I witnessed how it was easy as someone who sees adult patients to judge them, and I didn't think it was fair to judge people even if they came late to hospital. And I felt like seeing children would mean that having to do everything for them without even thinking, right? So the one way of seeing the most vulnerable in society without judging them, even if their parents brought them late, you knew that it wasn't their fault. You had to drop everything to see them. That pushed me to do pediatrics. Pediatric oncology, I developed the love for it when I was training as a pediatrician. I saw children who came into the ward with cancers, and some of them went out, and yes, of course, some of them died. But I also learned that in other places, when they are well taken care of, up to 80% to 90% survive. And what I learned was the workforce in Ghana was almost non-existent. We had very few pediatric oncologists at the time in the country, so I decided to join that workforce to provide service.
I'm Dr. Labeshe Abraham about from Richmond, Bedu, Wenya, Yerba Accra, Dami Yerban Tsunami, and I Yerban of friend of leukemia, blood cancer. The Mukono, Mofadam Bishe, Dr. Ella, I want a rating. Oh, says ya, Demarcado Dr. Ella, 100% to Sana Mabano, Mazanabano. Now, Kofum Pakada on ye. But a Fazina Dr. Ella Banning Channel. Says I'm a cushion and many Mabano, says ya no WhatsApp. The treatment was a man who say very good.
It's also interesting to see how children are able to turn around. You see them coming quite ill, and you start your treatment and they jump up and they are running the next minute. It's actually very different from seeing adults. Myself as an adult, when I'm sick, I want the whole world to pause. But a child doesn't lie. They are sick today, you start treatment, they are running around the next day. I think for me that was very beautiful to see. There are days when you cry, you hold hands, you talk, you know you have to break bad news, and then you remember that you need to move on because the next child does not wait. It's not the easiest thing to do. We are human, and the day I stop crying is the day I know I shouldn't be working again, because it will mean that I've lost that humanity. As human, I cry. There are days that I complain that I don't want to do this again. My patient who you've interviewed knows that I threaten him that I'm not going to see the child again sometimes, because sometimes it's really overwhelming. But you know that they don't have anywhere else to go. If they had to leave Cape Coast to go to Accra, they have to make the journey. It's not the easiest thing to do.
I'm not very surprised Ella has been nominated for this great thing. We all know how hardworking she is. We all know how devoted she is. We all know how dedicated she is to our patient. No matter where Ella is, she comes to run her clinic, irrespective of whether she just came back from overseas or whatever. She goes out of her way anytime, any day to come and do it. She's the only pediatric oncologist in Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, clearly meaning that she doesn't have an off day. She doesn't even go on leave, because when she goes on leave, she's going to take care of the cancer patients.
He helps the ward in all the logistics that we need in managing the case, to the extent of contributing. Sometimes you tell him, this one we are in need of money. Say wait, he will come back, give you money to buy the medication item needed to achieve your tax. When the ward lack anything, when we move around the ward, a lot of things done by Dr. Ella, you see her names being written alongside.
I established a care center here in Cape Coast, and so far in 2019, November 2019, I actually remember the day the first patient came, and we've seen a total of 200, actually above 200 cases. The biggest stumbling blocks right now is the fact that we don't have a unit specifically for children with cancer. Our patients are being managed on the general pediatric ward, and the general pediatric ward means that you have children who have all sorts of diseases as well on the ward. Now, in the past week, we've had about, say, 8 children who have come with cancers and have to lie on these beds, across from children who have infectious diseases. Now, when we give the children with cancer chemotherapy or some treatment, their immune system goes really low, right? And then they are in the same environment as these children who have infections, and so it puts them at risk of getting these infections and also prolongs their stay in hospital. We are hoping to establish a center of excellence at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. We are hoping to receive children from Western North, Central, and parts of the Ashanti region. We are hoping to be that beacon of hope that the children can receive cure here in the Central region. We are hoping that we would also have a training center, because it's not just about treating people, but we would use the opportunity to train the next generation of pediatric oncologists, of pediatric oncology nurses and pharmacists. And yeah, we are hoping to show the world what we have right here in Cape Coast. Again, it's the knowledge that you can do something in a place where almost nothing is available. Most of the times you want to give up. You carry the load, you're advocating, you're shouting, you're making so much noise, and you don't think people hear. You also take on your duty diligently and do what you know that is right for your patients, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's who I am. But having understanding that people actually watch, and when given the opportunity can highlight what you've done for them, it's quite heartwarming.
These are the stories that have impacted lives and continue to shape the society. Now, individuals like Dr. Emmanuella Amoako at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital in the Central Region is creating opportunity where it matters most, and that is only on ChannelOne TV's Community Legend. I'm Akosia Ochi. Many thanks for watching.
Community Legends. Celebrate